Hey there. Hope you enjoyed that little intro that I made. So, following the video that most of you, I guess, kind of saw on my channel, where I basically just try to experiment with like the machinima style video done within Warframe, where you're basically being the camera for a lot of these different shots. And for such a small channel, I'm very happy with the reception that it got. So yeah, hopefully it goes in a similar upward direction. So yeah, hopefully this video will be educational enough so that you can kind of learn something new here, where it's all about trying to do. So I know a bunch of people in the comments asked, so like all of these are actual in-game missions, right? And it's all about utilizing Ivara, Zephyr, Cyto 9's Evade, and all of these abilities and all of these kind of ways of fixing the FOV, certain game settings and stuff like that. So hopefully I'll go through, maybe not like 100% full detailed everything, but like you will definitely get a better gist of how to kind of do stuff like this with some other bits and tricks here and there on how to kind of approach stuff like this. So yeah, enjoy the rest of the video. Okay, so let's do a little bit of a test on how I kind of approached these 3 different builds for kind of the static camera, a glide camera, and a drone camera. Where if I'm being totally honest, like the Zephyr one can basically do it all. Ivara is very good because I can do much longer shots because of the prowl. Here for Zephyr, I obviously have evade from Cyto 9. The only downside which I currently have is the altered maximum duration cap to 25 seconds, so that kind of sucks. And yeah, that's sort of the same thing with Titania, where basically you're always gonna be capped to 25 seconds if you want to be invis. And then I can just turn on the glide, so I'm gliding, and then I switch to a different weapon. Here on the secondary I have like minus zoom when ADSing, so then I can do stuff like this and be invisible, and then I can switch to the sniper rifle and then adjust the FOV accordingly. Sniper rifles are obviously really cool because they hide the player model, right? So, and then you obviously have multiple zoom levels, so that's kind of neat. But if there are enemies and stuff like that, they will obviously attack you. So that's kind of the thing to figure out how you want to capture certain things while in mission. So this entire thing is how to become a camera within missions, within the open zones, and all of these other places that you can't really get captura shots with. Essentially, is the main idea for all of these different builds. So kind of let's go through some of these. So much like on Ivara, it's all about energy. As much energy and as much energy region. Then I have aim glide, gravity, duration, and yeah, basically these are all the things. You want to make the duration up to 25 seconds by default instead of the max duration, because we're not going to do any kills and we're not going to do any fighting. So the basic camera, if I can call it camera, same loadout essentially, and yeah, if I go to all of these, basically the same thing. All about energy, duration, minus gravity, when aim gliding, and also, yeah, this seemed interesting to kind of have the double jump strength, because while in Prowl, you obviously can't run, or yeah, you can't run, you can't bullet jump, you can't do any of those things. So basically having something that helps with the height is this mod basically does the job. And let's go through our kind of drone cam. So like I said, I mean, you can still do probably all of it with Zephyr. Yeah, honestly, like, now that I'm kind of thinking about it, the main downside of using Razorwing is the butterflies. They're constantly flying around you, or by default, they will always attack enemies, which kind of sucks. So honestly, I'm not entirely sure if I would recommend using something like this. Same thing with Evade, with obviously the max duration as much as possible. Everything's kind of the same, it's all about duration and stuff like that. But as you can kind of see now, if I turn on, so, and also you have the limitation of just using per guns, so you have to use individual kind of zoom levels. And yeah, like I said, butterflies are always going to be sort of annoying, but the thing that I that I hate about this is, or like about this, because I can go up and down essentially, right? So these are some of the things that I'm probably not going to be able to do with Zephyr. So yeah, it's a mixed bag of using certain things based on what you want to kind of do, and then if I turn invis, right, so like the butterflies are always going to be sort of there, but there is like a way to kind of, I don't know, find an angle where the butterflies are basically not gonna be in frame. But yeah, it is a bit tricky. So it's kind of annoying. I really wish that there was like a skin or something that would make them, I guess, more invisible based on the value of the visual effects intensity. That would be cool, but sadly, that's definitely not the case. So yeah, definitely difficult to kind of use, but at the same time, we don't really have anything else that can basically fly. And yeah, in terms of like zoom levels, this is basically what you can sort of do, is just mix between all of these and just figure out which one works the best for the use case that you want, right? Or yeah, let's also go through all of the kind of basic settings that you will probably need to do the things that I'm basically doing. So in terms of consistency, like, just use a joystick. In terms of moving the camera, panning and stuff like that, sure, you can do it on a mouse, but you will never have that kind of perfect tracking and a perfect control over everything. So like, yeah, just use a controller, to be honest. And yeah, in terms of the controller, so personal preference, but I definitely keep this sort of low in terms of the sensitivity. And then you definitely have to kind of play around with the dead zones if you want to fine-tune everything to be to your liking. But yeah, all of this is essentially whatever. you definitely want to hide the HUD. That's always going to be kind of the default thing. It would be very, very cool if this is toggleable, like DE, like come on, just give us a toggle button to hide the HUD. That'd be really good. So yeah, in terms of video settings, so on a 1080p monitor, so I'm basically using NVIDIA's DSR to upscale to 4K. Obviously, if you have a really good rig and if you can record 4K, all of this is really going to be whatever for you. But yeah, in the case that you don't have, yeah, NVIDIA DSR, enable that in the NVIDIA's control panel. Really helps, and also keep the smoothness to like 0% for Warframe, but each individual game kind of works differently. But yeah, for Warframe, just keep that at 0%. Yeah, while recording, I would also kind of recommend to have these at kind of default, like 50-50. Like sure, everything kind of looks washed out, but you can always fix that in post. So it's better to have a bit of a neutral base that then you can apply adjustment layers, filters, and everything depending on the software that you're using. Field of view, definitely a personal preference on how to approach certain things, but yeah, a bunch of times I will have like the lowest FOV, and then it dynamically adjusts obviously between all of the weapons and everything. So yeah, again, personal preference or how you want to kind of approach certain things. Yeah, no upscaling. What I figured, the geometry quality, you kind of need it to be at the absolute maximum setting to kind of reduce the pop-in and to make everything look as nice as possible at a distance. Shadow, yeah, sure. I mean, obviously, if we can pump up all of these settings to like the highest, sure, that'd be good. What I kind of discovered for like the particle systems, it actually looks much better if it's actually on low, instead of putting everything on like ultra or high. Using TEA, I mean, if I was using native 4K, I think I would be fine, honestly, like just not using anti-aliasing at all. But I think with DSR, I still get those like jagged edges, which are kind of annoying if you see them. And in gameplay, that's fine. But when you're watching a video, it kind of ruins the immersion. So yeah, I'm still using TEA and some sharpening. Yeah, this is on anastrophic filtering. Yeah, you definitely want to keep this as high as possible to make everything smooth. SSAO is definitely the kind of the most important one on how to make everything like look as nice as possible. So yeah, you definitely want to have that on a high shader quality. You obviously need that. Motion blur and depth of field. I mean, it sort of helps in some scenarios. Obviously, like all these settings are not, you're not gonna game like this, so you're basically trying to record stuff. And yeah, with motion blur, it kind of helps with certain effects and certain particles, and when you're doing like very fast movement and stuff like that, it looks cool. Depth of field sort of helps, doesn't help, but in some scenarios, I was able to kind of proc what I wanted to do, so yeah. Personal preference, you can do whatever. What I actually don't use is distortions and glare. Glare is the thing that makes your entire screen be white, essentially, from all of the highlights and stuff like that. Film grain, I add that in post, actually. And distortions, yeah, I don't use those at all. But what I use is actually 100% for blue. And I think I figured, like, in terms of my kind of style, all of my captura shots and all of these things, I've been using bloom intensity to, like, the maximum, and this is the actual kind of look that you basically get with the bloom, and yeah, it's actually good. And all of these settings are, yeah, essentially on. Enhanced decals, I'm not completely sure what it actually does in terms of like the world, but I saw that it adds certain decals on like weapon skins and stuff like that, so I disabled those to kind of have everything clean. in terms of audio, yeah, you obviously don't want to record music. So this is a bit tricky because it involves trying to figure out how to do audio. Like, so when you're invisible, or when you're flying, or when you're utilizing any of these abilities, all of them make a sound. And there is no, at least I haven't figured out, like a setting where I can, you know, like tone down Zapphire's first ability, how it sounds, or something like that. So you're sort of forced to record all of these ambient sounds literally like this, where you're in the menu or just in game and not doing anything. And, you know, like, record as much as possible, but just keep that obvious, the audio part of it. And then, in post, you can use that thing that you recorded, and the actual shots that you make are not gonna have any audio on them. So this is a way on how to kind of approach audio. And I was also kind of thinking, when I will definitely be doing things with, like, models and actors, I think I will have to use their in-game audio for, like, all the sounds and everything, so then all of my sounds are not in the actual kind of final thing. So yeah, it's a bit interesting and tricky how to kind of approach all of these things. Yeah, I would definitely recommend mission tutorial transmissions to, like, it doesn't disable all of them, but I think it minimizes the amount of all of those pop-ins on, like, the left and right side of the screen where someone is talking to you. I hope that it helps, because, like, it really sucks when I have a good shot and I'm really, like, focused on getting it, and then suddenly, you know, like, I have, I don't know, someone from on live or whatever other transmission just popping up, and it kind of ruins the shot. So yeah, that kind of sucks. Yeah, this is all fine. In the accessibility, what I found that is really key is disabling controller aim assist, because, like, especially if you're kind of following along the enemies and stuff like that, when you're ADSing, it's going to snap at each individual target, which sucks, and you don't really want that, so this is good that you can kind of disable that. Oh, this is personal preference. This is personal preference, but yeah, this is the way on how I kind of paint the game in a certain way. Again, you can literally do whatever you want with this. So, visual effects are very important, because I'll probably show over this that I'm talking. Depending on the visual effects intensity, this is going to define how visible you are, actually, which is tricky. So you have to balance between having, like, a lens flare in the distance in a level from, like, this interesting light, which really looks cool if you put it like that, like 200%, but you're at the risk of being visible, which is cool, where, like, sniper rifles are cool, because you can obviously hide your entire model, and then you can do those shots that way. But yeah, keep in mind that this is the thing that will make or break your shot. And if you really focus, you will always realize that you're always there. So yeah, keep in mind with something like this. Reduce teammate visual effects, I mean, I don't know. Depends on what you're doing. I will have to experiment with this when I'm actually kind of following along with someone. But yeah, cloaked appearance, keep the set standard. Screen shake, I don't know, maybe it might be interesting if I'm following along someone and they do, like, a slam attack. Maybe my screen is going to shake as well, so that I don't have to do that in post, but we'll definitely see how that works. And all of this is essentially whatever. Oh yeah, I also kind of want to stress the point of... No, stop. The point of using 4K. So in the distance you can kind of see, okay, this looks okay, but if I tone it down to, like, 1080p, you will see, like, see in the fog, how that looks horrible, essentially. Yeah, that's the annoying part. So you're kind of forced to use a higher resolution for some of these effects. Like all of the settings, be it on ultra or high or whatever, nothing affects this. So it's all about just your render resolution. And yeah, if you can go native 4K or even higher, good for you. You will have everything to be kind of smooth in the distance. I haven't found any setting that can affect these very far matte paintings or just background images that they use. Sadly, there is no way to kind of do anything about that. Like even if you are on 4K, you will still see that they are the same. So yeah, that's the only downside if you want to do these like very far away shots. But then it's all about framing, where you don't show too much of it. Maybe in post I can blur some of these parts so your eyes are not like focused too hard on that. But at the same time, it still looks fine. But yeah, this is essentially the kind of way that you go about everything. And yeah, as I kind of mentioned, let's go to these settings. So like if we turn it all the way down, yeah, see how you don't really see any of these effects, and when you're hidden, like you can still see me, right? Like you can definitely see something. But that's if you like really focus on it. And when you're kind of moving just slightly, it's kind of difficult to see it. You definitely have to kind of watch it. But this is where like the sniper rifles are good, because they definitely hide you, right? So you don't even have to be invisible if you want to do like shots like these, right? Which is cool. And then you can just basically glide through everything. And yeah, I think I forgot to mention this, but like depending on your yeah, can't do anything up here. Let's go down. Yeah, you definitely want to use the hobble, the dragon key, if you want to kind of slow down your movement, if you want to make it even more gradual and slower, because if you're not using it, you might be just a little bit too fast, even on controller, when you're kind of slowly moving about. But yeah, with stop it. Yeah, when you're kind of moving, even on controller, yeah, you can do these very nice gradual kind of movements, which are interesting and cool. But yeah, what I would definitely kind of want to try at some point is to be able to kind of follow someone and see how this might even work, you know, like a skate video or something like that, where someone is riding along, and then I can just try and follow them and see if I can like track all of the tricks and whatnot. That might be an interesting thing to kind of try. But yeah, I think yeah, this is it in terms of the settings. So this is just a small little tidbit on using multiple monitors and OBS for example, like in Captura or something like that. You can basically add PNG or transparent images that can act as aspect ratios, as grids and stuff like that. So that's definitely useful to kind of have it on the second monitor, and then you can basically play around with your frames. Like sure, you can always try and imagine all of those grids and whatnot, but if you really want to be specific about certain things, or if you have trouble imagining how a certain aspect ratio or like portrait mode is going to work, this is a very kind of easy an interesting way where like from OBS you can just right click and you can basically present the entire view on a single monitor, which is cool. So yeah, you can definitely play around with something like that. And yeah, that's the end of the video. Hopefully this was educational, you learned something new, and yeah, I would very much love to see someone kind of tackling the same thing that I kind of did. I think that would be really cool to see. But yeah, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll make something else kind of soon. Thanks.